Won't be on camera.
Okay. So I can't say I'm wrong?
Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Rick Knabb here, live from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. It's 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are still in the midst of dealing with Tropical Storm Hermine. And I wanted to talk about communications. And we're going to head out to the forecast floor in a little bit, talk to the hurricane specialist on duty today. But before that, I wanted to share with you what some of you probably already know since you're connecting with us here via Periscope. But we are very active on social media, and this is the first hurricane landfall that we've really had full-blown social media being the fabric of our society. And we have, for example, a presence on Facebook where we have, thank you to all of you, 524,000 of you following us on Facebook, and we also have a presence on Twitter, Periscope, and YouTube, and we are now publishing blog articles once in a while on our National Hurricane Center blog called Inside the Eye. So lots of ways for us to interact with one another, and we're looking forward to the Q&A on various social media platforms when we have the time to do so. Right now, of course, we're mostly focused on getting out the operational message. And we've also utilized social media a lot more to connect in real time with our media partners and our emergency management partners. And social media was utilized overnight for us to get an idea of what was happening in the Florida Big Bend area as Hermine was affecting that region. So I want to take you on a walk. We're in the front office area of the National Hurricane Center here. And of course the local forecast office in South Florida is on this side of the building and back down to the right there. But what we're going to do is walk into our media seminar room where we do a lot of different things. This room is busy many different days of the year. Of course, right now we're not in an active media pool availability. We were this morning, but sometimes this room can fill up with a number of different local and national media partners, especially when it's a South Florida threat and they bring their local equipment and personnel here. But this morning, we didn't have to fill up this room with people and equipment. And I want to show you why. We have this media pool, and again, it's called that because it's a pooling of resources by networks and stations to allow us to communicate with them through single connections. We just basically change the channel to talk to the different outlets. And what we have here is where the pool producer operates and connects to the different stations and networks and communicates with them by telephone. And this allows us to use satellite communications. And then what I do is I put on one microphone, one IFB, the earpiece, and then I stand behind the desk here, and then the pool producers are on the phone coordinating with the producers at the various stations and networks, and we have one cameraman, and then they light us up, and we stand behind our media desk, and I don't have to move to switch from one station or network to the next, and we usually have some idea of what's coming during the upcoming hour in terms of what network or station we're going to be talking to. So if I know, for example, this morning I was about to talk to the Raleigh, North Carolina station, then I get my graphics ready to focus in on that particular area, maybe talk to the hurricane specialists about what observations they're seeing in that particular region. So being adjacent to the operations floor really enables me, while I'm on television, to stay current with what's going on. I can't just do all the talking. I got to listen once in a while so I keep up to date on what's going on. So what's pretty cool about this is we can get a close-up look at this equipment because the producers aren't here to tell us not to touch it. But they were here this morning, and they're going to be here tomorrow morning as well as we do another media availability between 7 and 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, I don't handle all of the logistics to make our communications go. The person who does that is holding the camera right now. So I'm going to have Dennis Felkin, our public affairs officer here at the National Hurricane Center, hand the camera off to somebody else and get on this side of the camera, which you're no stranger to doing. Dennis used to be in television, and now you've been the communications guru here at the National Hurricane Center for how many years?
This is my 10th season here. I can't believe it's been that long, but it really helps having done television for so many years because I know the needs of what's going on with the assignment desk and all the TV meteorologists and all the producers, and I know what's available here, so the job is to mesh those together so that everybody there gets what they need.
And I'm becoming increasingly convinced that there are two Dennises, one that works in the morning and one that works at night, because he's really pulling some long hours. But this is why we have a permanent on-site communications presence here to coordinate the media pool, to do social media. Talk about this key messaging graphic that you've been putting out.
Well, you know, you were talking about it earlier, just the amount of social media that we do here. It wasn't that very long ago where the only way you got your message was on TV or on radio. And what happens if you missed the TV broadcast? You were stuck in traffic or something. But now with social media, not only can you get it, but you get it fast, and it's right there. So one of the things, or the challenge that we have, is making sure everybody's on the same page. So we started using last year and have carried it through this year, making up a key messages graphic, so that these are the highlights, these are the bullet points that we really want you to take home. And we put that on there, and it's updated with every advisory. It goes out on social media, it goes out on Twitter, it goes out on Facebook. It's retweeted and re-Facebooked, for lack of a better term, all across the country and the world. So I'm really convinced everybody's looking at it and we're on the same page.
And why that is so important is in life-threatening situations, high-profile events where there are so many different sources of information, it's so important that a consistent message on the hazards and what you need to be doing to keep yourself safe is getting out there. A confused message, inconsistent messaging can lead people to indecision and not doing what they need to stay safe.
Oh, sure, and it's really true these days because everybody's on the internet, so everybody can have a blog and everybody can have their own opinion, and that's fine. But when you start putting out mixed messages, then the whole thing gets discombobulated. So it's really important, and we always say this in hurricane preparation that the season, find a trusted source. Well, let's face it, we're the source here. This is where it's coming from, and we work so closely with our media partners who take our message and get it out to everybody else.
Yeah, and thank you again to our mass media partners, the television folks, the radio folks, and you know, mass media is becoming multidimensional now, and they're on social media, and they're getting the word out in so many different ways. But the partnership that we maintain throughout the year with those folks is realizing its benefits during an event like this.
Absolutely.
But Dennis, thanks for everything you do to keep us getting the message out in a consistent way, and for holding the camera. And
no problem. It's what I do.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Dennis likes more being in front of the camera or behind the camera, but you've been very good at both, and thanks for everything you do. So it's so much more than the meteorology here. By the way, you're a meteorologist too, so that helps.
Yeah.
But it's so much more than the meteorology, so much about the communications, and we continue to embrace more and more communications avenues. But it is still rooted in our primary mission to get the forecast and the warning out. Let's talk to one of the hurricane specialists who's on duty today. Dr. Michael Brennan is one of our senior hurricane specialists. He's doing the day shift today, and I used to do that back in 2005 through 2008 when I was a hurricane specialist. And when you're on the day shift, you are responsible for putting out the 11 a.m. and the 5 p.m. advisory. So we're going to talk to Mike here, and he's heading into the next forecast cycle. But as we head toward 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Mike is putting out the intermediate public advisory. So Mike and I got in here about 6 o'clock this morning, but our day's only about half done. Mike, we're talking to the Periscope audience about what it's like to sit in the hot seat, and not only about how to put the forecast together, but how do you construct the product. So it's about meteorology and communication.
Right, yeah, it's so I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the meteorology, we're looking at the tracking your mean across as it moves out from Georgia into South Carolina today, monitoring all the observations, working with the local weather forecast offices to determine what the watches and warnings need to be, when we can start to lower warnings here in Florida and expanding warnings northward. So looking at all the model data, the latest forecasts are coming in to get ready to put together the afternoon package. And then, in addition to that, we're composing all the text products, trying to put a consistent message together that then form the basis for all the messaging that Rick and Dennis and everyone else can do here to get our message out to the media and the general public and all our other partners.
I want to show folks the hurricane hotline. This is right over here, and Mike, you can describe what the purpose of the hotline is and what we do and when we do it.
Sure. The hotline allows us to talk very quickly to all of the coastal National Weather Service offices along the Gulf and Atlantic coast, and we have a scheduled conference call an hour before each advisory goes out, and that's where we talk about the forecast. We coordinate all the watches and warnings and the hazard statements for storm surge and rainfall, tornadoes and wind that go into our advisory products, and it's really a fast communications method that lets us really talk to them instantly if we need to, and any time we need to break in and discuss something with them very quickly, we can do so that way.
And one of the software and data tools that we utilize is called ATCF, and that stands for Automated Tropical Cyclone Forecast System. And I can assure you that the A for automated really isn't automated. That's why Mike is here. And Mike not only, like the other hurricane specialist, handles using the ATCF to put our forecast products together, but Mike is also on a technical angle very adept at helping us maintain that ATCF system and make improvements to it. And you summarize what the ATCF is and what you do in it that's very unique and not the same kind of systems we use at the WFOs.
Yeah, the ATCF is sort of two or three different systems in one. It's a database tool that lets us collect all the model data and all the fixed data for tropical cyclones through their entire life cycle. So you can see all these little dots here on the screen are estimates of the center location of Hermine through its life cycle before it even became a tropical cyclone, and then through the Gulf of Mexico. The colored lines you see here are the model forecasts from this morning's cycle that I was actually using to help make the track forecast. This is also where we prepare the advisory products, and we make the forecast by physically clicking and manipulating this piece of software, and then that's what creates the tropical cyclone forecast advisory, the public advisory, and then we type all that up and it's transmitted from here.
And then a lot of folks obviously want to know about the forecast itself. What did you put out at 11 a.m.? What factored into your consideration in terms of what you put in the discussion? You know, inside the forecaster's head is what the discussion helps you do, but now we can hear it straight from the forecaster.
Yeah, so this morning, I'm doing the track forecast out to 5 days. The track guidance was in pretty good agreement through the first 2 or 3 days, and then as Hermine gets involved in an upper level trough off the mid-Atlantic coast, it may stall out or move somewhat erratically for the next 3 to 5 day period. We were looking at some of the global model guidance you see here, like from the GFS or the European Center model, showing the storm re-intensifying here off the mid-Atlantic coast. So we actually increased the intensity forecast based on what we were seeing here, and also making our forecast of the structure of the storm and how that's going to evolve, and that affects the placement of the watches and warnings. We extended Tropical Storm Watch up the east coast all the way to Watch Hill, Rhode Island, so it includes New York City and Long Island now, and we extended the Tropical Storm Warning all the way up to Fenwick Island, Delaware, including parts of the Chesapeake Bay and the Virginia coastline. So, and then, yeah, as Rick mentioned, the discussion is sort of our way that we can provide our forecast reasoning about the analysis of the system and the forecast we're making, and convey uncertainty and really important messages to the public and all of our users.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And of course, ultimately, what matters to you is what hazards could you experience where you live. And if you're an emergency manager, what sorts of decisions do you need to make? If you are in the media, what do you need to be communicating to the people that are listening to you? So another thing that is coordinated on the hotline call as a result of what the forecast and the confidence in it is what are the hazards going to be mentioned in our advisories: the storm surge, the inland flooding due to rainfall, the winds, and the tornado threat. We coordinate that with all the different centers and offices around the country. So focus on the hazards. That's what we're doing with our products that are the result of all of this forecasting and all of our communications. So keep up to date with what's going on at hurricanes.gov and at the webpage of your local National Weather Service forecast office. Talk to you again soon.